Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm gonna finally craft with the new IOD holiday release. So first off, I'm gonna start off with these thrifted frames I picked up. They had printed pictures in them, but I took those out. I'm gonna go ahead and use this Very Merry Christmas transfer. I had my husband cut the little wood pieces, well, the little pieces that were in the back, but I had him cut them out of wood. I just wanted something a little bit more stable. So to start, I'm going to go ahead and put a thin layer of Mod Podge. I'm going to decoupage some of these music sheets to the back. Once I've set them aside to dry, I'm going to go ahead and use a sanding block and take off the excess from the edges. So this little book here came with so many options to choose from. They're so beautiful. I pick out a couple and I'm going to go ahead and transfer them over onto my music sheet. So I'm going to go ahead and center my transfer here. Then I would put a little bit of pressure with, usually they come with a little tool, but me being me, I already lost the little tool. It's around here somewhere, but I go ahead and grab whatever's nearby, which is a popsicle stick. They come off super easy, just with a little bit of pressure, slowly releasing it from the transfer sheet. If for any reason you pick up a transfer and a little piece isn't transferred over, all you got to do is set it back down, put a little more pressure, and that should do the trick. Once I get it completely transferred over, I'm going to go ahead and burnish it with the same transfer sheet, just going over, make sure there's no loose pieces and make sure it's adhered to my music sheet. And as always, I'm going to go ahead and use my Distress Oxide on the edges just to give it a more aged effect. And then, as always, I'm going to go ahead and add some crackle with the IOD texture stamp. So these frames here I had painted a while back, but they sat in my stash for months. So finally I brought them out. I'm going to add a little bit of Mod Podge here, and then right over that I'm going to sprinkle on some cinnamon. I quickly realized how messy this is, so I actually take it outside and use an adhesive spray instead. I just use any paintbrush and I just dust off the excess of the cinnamon, and I do spray them with a clear coat just to seal it all in. So for the spray adhesive, I use this Easy Tack. I got it at Hobby Lobby, but I'm pretty sure you can get it at Walmart as well. Next up, using some scrap wood, I'm going to go ahead and create a Christmas village. This is the main reason why I picked up these stamps. I think I saw it on their IOD Instagram page. Somebody had created a village and I was sold as soon as I saw that. So I had my husband cut up these pieces of scrap wood. I'm going to go ahead and give them a coat of white, and I do take them outside and just distress the edges a little bit with my orbital sander. So I'm not going to even try and butcher the name, but this is out of their new IOD collection. When you first get stamps, they recommend that you give them a little sanding just so they're not slippery and slip on the surface that you're going to stamp onto. So I'm going to start out by creating a little church. I'm going to go ahead and stamp this door on. So I'm going to ink up my stamp here using some ink from Hobby Lobby. So here I'm going to go ahead and try and center my door. Placing it down, trying not to shift it, and slowly with my fingers putting a little bit of pressure. You don't want to put too much pressure on these stamps because then you're going to get like a very blurred look. I've done that before, so just lightly putting it a little bit of pressure and that should do the trick. So this piece of wood is going to be glued to the back of the other one that I just stamped with the door. But before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and stamp on some of this brick looking stamp, starting to where I think this is a little bit too low, but that's okay. I just wanted to make sure that it was covered completely where the other piece of wood is going to sit on top. So these little crosses here I picked up at the thrift store. I picked up a bunch of them, so I'm going to try and get through them. This I'm going to glue it to the back piece of wood on the bottom. So to get these glued up, I'm going to go ahead and use this Gorilla Glue, and I do use a little bit of hot glue just to get a quicker bond. Then I'm just going to attach my little cross here with a little bit of hot glue. Then I had these picks left over from Dollar Tree last year. I just cut some pieces off of them. I'm going to create a little wreath here that I can put here in the center just to add a little texture. So next up, I'm going to just create a little window scene here. I'm going to go ahead and place my stamp down. I did use the wrong side of the wood here. This side of the wood had a little bit more texture than I wanted it to have, because you'll see here when I place these stamps down, it doesn't fully go, it doesn't reach like the bottom of the wood. There's like little ridges. But you'll see that I easily fix it. It's not a big deal. I just prefer to use the smoother side of the wood. So here you will see when I pick up the stamps, it doesn't stamp in between the little ridges. So I just place the stamp back down, put a little bit more pressure in between those ridges. So these stamps usually come with these masks that you put over what you have already stamped on a surface. This allows you to stamp on, say for example here, I'm going to add this brick detail to my little scene here without stamping over what is already stamped. When I first started using IOD stamps, I had no idea what these masks were for. And as soon as I figured it out, my mind was blown, and now I'm just completely hooked. We are participating in a craft show at the end of the month, so you will see me using these a lot. So to create a little roof here, I go ahead and use this little metal ribbon that I picked up at the Dollar Tree earlier this year. I don't add any glue to it. All I do is nail in some nails into the little holes that it already has, and that seemed to hold on well without any glue. Then I decide that this little ridge here that's hanging over, I decide that I'm gonna go ahead and hammer it in downward just so it could show more from the front when it is set up. I don't think I end up leaving it like this. I think I end up bending it back because I didn't like it so much. But either way, I think it looks good. If you have any of this on hand and you want to press it down, I think it looks good both ways. I just prefer it the other way. In some of my little houses, I go ahead and add letters to this little plaque. These letters were small enough to fit into that plaque. I'm going to go ahead and link them in the description box in case y'all are interested in purchasing. And here is my end result on these. Let me know what you think. Next up, I'm going to go ahead and use these stocking wood cutouts. I did purchase them at the Goodwill bins, but they did have Hobby Lobby tags on them. So I'm going to start out by giving them a coat of white paint using Snow White from Waverly Chalk Paint. So once this coat has completely dry, I'm going to go ahead and use my Distress Oxide and just age my edges a little bit. So I have a whole bunch of vintage lace that I picked up at the Goodwill bins. I'm going to go ahead and add some to the top of my stocking here. Just using a little bit of hot glue, I'm going to go ahead and attach my lace here. So I'm going to go ahead and use the winter adornment stamps. So for focusing on the corner of my stocking here, I'm going to go ahead and stamp these really pretty florals to the edge here, kind of hanging off of my stocking. Then I'm just going to add some crackle here with the texture stamp from also IOD. I'm going to go ahead and ink up my stamp here with some ink from Hobby Lobby. Then just for a little pop of color, I go ahead and fill in some of these berries that come on this floral stamp. And just to embellish my stocking here, I'm going to go ahead and create a little bow using some vintage lace as well. And I'm going to go ahead and stick my little Dollar Tree floral pick here through the knot just so it can be attached to the bow. I did have the little pearl beads on hand, so I just went ahead and attached those as well, just to a little bit more added detail. Just gonna add a little bit of glue to the back of my bow here to attach it to my stocking. I do clean up the edges of my lace here, just creating some little dovetail cuts, just so it could look a little bit more polished and finished. Then I decided I wanted to add the word joy to my stocking here. I'm going to go ahead and ink up my stamp with some red Hobby Lobby ink, and I'm going to go ahead and transfer the word joy to the bottom of my stocking here. So I did have a second cutout. I go ahead and stamp the word Mary on this one, and then I'm going to go ahead and use the same IOD stamp winter adornment on this one as well. So my placement on my stamp here is a little too high. Once I let down the lace, it covers most of it. So just to fix that a little bit, I'm going to go ahead and mask this stamp with the ones that come in the pack. Then I'm going to go in with some more berries from that pack and just bring them down a little bit more right under this stamp. And just how I did with the other stocking, I'm going to add a little pop of color. So I'm going to go ahead and color in some of the berries on the stamp. So I will go ahead and seal all my projects today with some clear spray paint just to seal everything in, and then we'll be all done. So I hope you guys liked the DIYs I created today. In the comments below, please let me know which one was your favorite. If you like what you see, please subscribe and follow for more. And follow me on all my other platforms. I'm on TikTok and Instagram, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye!